Babangu for our welcome address. For some of us that may not know her, he has been the Director General, University of Magodo, PSSDC. He's also a fellow, Center Institute of Public of Personnel Management of Nigeria. He's also an international coach. I said a coach of international repute. This one is not Lucano. When somebody was talking about her, that there was a time they met. At Trinidad and Tobago was somewhere. I said, yes. I think it's Lucano. She also a very, very strong HR practitioner. In fact, for her ingenuity, for her creativity, she has brought to bear something at the commission ever since she has been in office 3 years ago. She said, look, we are strategic partners. As an HR agency and as an HR organ of the public service, we need to be what? Strategic partners in all our business processes. We need to get involved in any business process that we are doing. Don't let us say that because we are accountants, or because we are admin officers, or because we are auditors, we do not know the business of our agency. In fact, the conceptualization of this very program was born out of that. Her will to be able to say, what else can we do to bring all our people in sync so that we can always be on the same page. And this is the fruit of what she's doing. Her mantra is that of change. Change that is predicated on a mantra, innovation and creativity. Not because we are doing something now, we should continue to do it the same way. No, it can always be better. That's why we call her a teacher. Because any minute with her, you have one or two things. Please join me in welcoming. Join me in welcoming our chairman, your chairman, my chairman, to give her welcome. I call her the game changer. Welcome.
Civil service of Lagos State, ably represented. I also welcome most warmly the representative of the Honorable Commissioner for Finance, and of course our dear Chairman of the Audit Service Commission, one of the 5 girls that man commissions in Lagos State. Wow. I'm sure you're aware that the Audit Service Commission is manned by a lady. The Health Service Commission is manned by a lady. The Teaching Service Commission is manned by a lady. The Law Service Commission is manned by a lady. Shows you the confidence that Mr. Governor has in our gender. And I can see many ladies also as directors of accounts. Congratulations. I also recognize most warmly the team of the Civil Service Commission. Honorable Commission members, you're most welcome. I think we're all here. One person is with me. Is on the way. It takes a whole forest to achieve results. And the commission members and I. And of course, the engine that drives it all, the permanent secretary, Mrs. Bola Dili Dakonis. You are all well recognized. Today is another dream come true, isn't it? Today is another dream come true. So please don't be afraid to dream. If you can imagine it, it will happen. It can happen. As we sit at meetings on several occasions, we say to ourselves, what is the mandate of the Civil Service Commission? We went back to the Constitution because the Civil Service Commission is one of the commissions that is constitutionally recognized by the 1999 Constitution as amended. We went back to say, what is the mandate of this commission? Is it a mere figurehead? What is its role? Because if you don't know who you are, your purpose will be totally lost. So we found ourselves as your commission. And one of the first things we said to ourselves when we first came in, and that year was 2019, I'm going historical so that we all can key into purpose in these 2 days that we're going to be here. It was 2019 when we came in, late 2019, November. And that was, Governor had just presented his budget, which he christened Budget of Awakening. And we said to ourselves, if there's a budget of awakening, then who are we? We are to service that budget in terms of the people. And therefore we rechristened ourselves when we came in the Awakened Commission. Hello? The Awakened Commission. And we gave it to Yoruba, we said, Jimasun Commission. Jimasun. So we began to push ourselves that way. Because if you don't know yourself, you will just be doing the same thing over and over. So our team was awakened. This is supposed to be a welcome address. But I'm welcoming you so you can know who your commission is. I mean, sure, I mean, clear. So let me go back to the speech they wrote for me. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning. And indeed, I'm really privileged to be among those who keep the funds of the state and those who ensure that the funds of the state is well managed, the auditors. I would like to clap for each of one of you. Your work is not easy. Your work is also divine. Your work is meant to be extremely professional. Nobody gets into your cadre and goes up except they are professionalized. Is that all right? Yes. You've got to get your professional certification, which confirms your knowledge, your skills, the right attitude, and also it confirms that you are able to do the work. So I salute all of you professionals in the audit and the accounting, finance and accounting functions. This career week, the first was held last year. I think it was early this year, but it was meant to be last year's function. It was conceived because we said our commission must be proactive. We've set meetings, we've observed things, some infractions, some out of ignorance, some out of mischief, some knowingly. And we said to ourselves, it is not sufficient to sit back here and for issues to be brought, disciplinary issues, and for us to be meting out sanctions and all of that. Let us as a commission also, as part of our mandate, proactively engage our core cadres. Are we together? Then, last year's career week was for our directors A and HR. Directors Admin and Human Resources. And so the next set of people that we thought was very, very important to the success of any government is the finance, the accounts, and the auditors. That's the second group we felt was very, very important. Next year, we're thinking of going again to some other infrastructural profession. And we do in the service. So I welcome you, I salute you. As I said, it's the 7th in the series. Government has been good to us. They've approved it as an annual event, the Career Week, where you can focus on your career. It is designed to provide a platform to also sensitize and acquaint officers across all cadres. As I had said, we had done A and HR before. Now we're doing finance, accounts, and auditors. Next year, probably we're doing engineers and architects and all of that. It serves as a form of dashboard also, where we can have strategic discourse. And you will see from all the sessions that we're going to have that there are a lot of strategic discourse that will happen today. So this commission, the Civil Service Commission, your commission, my commission, our commission, in line with its about commitment to reposition the workforce, support developmental aspirations of Lagos State as described in the agenda of this administration. The theme for this week, we call it compliance, management, and other extant financial provisions. We are aware that most of what you do, if not all, is supported by the Public Finance Law of 2011 and other extant financial provisions from time to time that may have been issued. And so the theme is about compliance. We believe strongly that if compliance is strong, then we can have a good system that works very well. The choice of this theme, as I said, and especially the target audience, is predicated on the need to improve the metrics, the indicators, the performance indicators of financial management in Lagos State. And also for us to embed a culture of financial effectiveness and financial efficiency, especially at a time like this when resources are very, very challenged. Financial resources are very challenged. Globally, they are challenged. As a nation, we are challenged with financial resources. And as a state, with so much expectation, we are challenged. And that's why this discussion is germane. As I said earlier, the topics have been well chosen. The sessions, the panel discussions, they are not only job specific, but they are highly relational to your core functions. May I also reiterate that this Career Week provides us with a much needed forum for collaboration. I'll be making a few more friends from the letters F and A and the auditors. I know some, I don't know many, but I'm sure that I'll make a few more friends from you. And you too will make more friends from each other. Some people you haven't seen for a long time, will afford you a period to exchange pleasantries. And then you can pick up a call in a week or two. I have this issue, how can I manage it? And that's good for networking. Nobody must be an island unto him or herself. Consult, collaborate, be creative, and you'll be amazed how easy your work will turn. So, we need a lot of hand-holding as professionals. Things change from time to time, and therefore we need to consult with each other. I would like to implore this audience to please use this opportunity to continue to cultivate and maintain the good spirit of camaraderie that is known in service, the wonderful esprit de corps that usually service is known for. I can only wish you all the very well, all the very best, and a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Ó kàn ti pẹ́ jù ní Yorùbá ní kí n lọ ṣe accounting. Because from this speech, I can now situate your role. You say àwọn ilẹ̀ ń tọ́jú gbogbo owó Èkó. Ṣé òótọ́ ni ẹ̀yin ilẹ̀ ń tọ́jú gbogbo owó Èkó? Kò sí ẹ̀rọ máa gbowó ká o. I would like to indulge this audience to please give our chairman a round of applause. Please, another round of applause. You see, it's one thing to say so much about someone. It's another thing that the person will now, do the needful or fall your hand. You can see that my chairman did not fall my hand. She has brought to bear HR, modern HR, contemporary human resource management practice, in line with what global best practices. She has spoken so well. So this earning, she made it. To me, it was not a speech. So it wasn't a speech, more like a lecture, because she mentioned so many things. Networking, collaboration, hand-holding, handshaking, and all. That indeed, for us in this sphere, in this space, we cannot continue to live in silos. We need to continue to do what? To collaborate. She also talked about the need for us to comply with our laws and other statutes. Like my permanent secretary will say, the service is statutorily flavored. I think I'm going easy. The service is what? Statutorily what? Flavored. In other words, we are guided by statutes. Knowledge in financial management, I do know that you can't do anything without going through what? The rules. Apart from the grand norms of accounting as it were, we also have our laws that will guide us. We have extant circulars, regulations that will guide us. She has invited our attention to all of this, and for us to be able to do what? To manage our resources that is scarce in the most effective and efficient manner. So I want to also thank the chairman for this very brilliant delivery. While she was on the floor, we had our commissioner, one of our distinguished commissioners, who made his way into the hall. His name is Barrister Babatunde Seriki. He's Commissioner 3, and he represents a third division. Otuba, I'm sorry, sir. Otuba, I don't have problem. If they say I will pay, maybe I don't have to go. I don't have problem. I said I can't. Extant laws. We also have joining us Mr. Adebowale Adeoye Bashilio, the TG Permanent Secretary, Education District 1, who also joined us. Welcome, sir. Without wasting time, I would like to call on, I'm sorry, even after this event, if I get quick, no wahala, I'm going to call on, I will have the pleasure to humbly call on one of the 5 girls. Hello? One of what? The 5 girls. They are our mothers. Are they not our mothers? Yeah. So we don't have any choice. I would like to humbly call on Mrs. Oluwatoyin Adegbeju Adegbeji Olutoyin. Good message. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. We were girls before we became women. Yes, you are the chairman of the Civil Service Commission. She has spoken well, and I would like to stand on that protocol message she gave. She had recognized the HOS being represented by PSYK, the Honorable Commissioner of Finance represented by, and the my chairman, thank you for this invitation. I recognize the commission members of the Civil Service Commission, the permanent secretaries here and the TGPSs, and especially the PAMSEC Civil Service Commission, the hardworking Mrs. Dr. Thomas. We are adding the other names. Directors of Finance and Accounts, other directors here present, my auditors, the gentlemen of the press, other protocols duly observed, please, so that I will not take too much of your time. And it is indeed my pleasure to be a guest of honor in this year 2022 Civil Service Commission Career Week. I will be a civil servant, so I know what expectations the civil service has of every one of you. Lagos State is always a pace setter, emulated by our contemporaries in all spheres, ranging from economy, governance, innovation, and leadership. As we are aware, this gathering is geared towards fostering the prospects, challenges, scope of work, and limitations that you may have. But all in all, it is with a view to building officers for productivity. Public service is made of human, material, and financial resources. These resources must be harmonized and integrated in order to accomplish predetermined goals. The Public Finance Management Law and other extant financial provisions are sets of laws, rules, regulations, processes put into use by the state government to mobilize revenue, allocate public funds, undertake public spending, and audit results. A well-functioning PFM system will improve the overall budget process through protection of public resources against the risk of misappropriation and corruption. The objectives of the PFM law include maintaining aggregate fiscal discipline. This ensures that aggregate levels of tax collection and public spending are consistent with target fiscal deficit and do not generate unsustainable levels of public borrowing. Ensuring that public resources are allocated and agreed strategic priorities. Note the word priorities. It is not everything that government can do all at once, but we must prioritize our needs and resources. Ensuring that operational efficiency is achieved, thereby giving maximum value for money in the delivery of services. Following due process. This is very important, and this ensures transparency and making information publicly accessible, and by applying democratic checks and balances to ensure accountability. So these are the objectives of the public finance rules and other extant financial circulars, regulations, laws that we have. The Lagos State Public Finance Law recognizes the Ministry of Finance as the major stakeholder in the achievement of the objectives of the law. The Honorable Commissioner for Finance shall formulate policies as the overall head of the ministry. The Accountant General of the state serves as the chief accounting officer for the receipts and payments for the state government. It is to maintain and operate the accounts of the consolidated revenue funds among other functions of government. I believe the accountants are indeed the auditors who are supposed to be the main beneficiaries of this program, know what consolidated fund is. Yes. Apart from the Ministry of Finance, all other MDAs of government are also crucial to the achievement of the goals and objectives of the public finance law. Because as accounting officers, the ministries have PSs, they have include the extra ministerial departments, agencies, they have heads of the departments who are accounting officers. They are to ensure the achievement of efficient and smooth implementation of financial regulations as accounting officers. They are to ensure a system of internal audits under the control and direction of an internal auditor, complying with and operating in accordance with prescribed norms and standards. The PFM law also discusses the budget process. It discusses parastatal institutions, extra-ministerial departments, local governments, revenue, finance, and administration. You would see indeed that the PFM law is a holistic document. It has taken everything in consideration. Every organ of the state has been considered there. It means that everybody should be involved in the achievement of an efficient finance management system. We must have a system that has been contributed to by everybody. So an efficient PFM system discourages corruption, since PFM establishes rules and processes for who receives what from public resources. However, corruption takes place when rules, procedures, and checks and balances are violated. So a well-functioning PFM system ensures that inflows and outflows of government monies follow a process established by laws or regulations and the rules. And these are to be enforced. The accountants are there to do their work. The auditors are there. And I believe the scheme of service has stipulated what each and every one has to do. All in all, we are still partners in progress. We are to work for the state to achieve growth, development, and good governance. So, government monies should be well managed by everybody. So the laws and regulations ensure this. This make financial transactions they must make transactions very transparent. It is imperative for accountants, auditors, and other stakeholders in all entities to be in compliance with the requirements of the public finance management law and other extant financial circulars and provisions. Let me at this juncture now say that apart from the PFM law, the other financial documents that come to mind are the state government financial regulations. In local government, we have the financial memoranda. We say virtually the same thing. We have treasury circulars issued by STO from time to time. We have also budget circulars from MEP. And I know they also discuss how to handle our finances, the limits we feel for our budgets, and how to operate our budgets. All these are controls towards having efficiency in the system. The audit law is also there. It is also a financial, it has financial controls for our budgets and how to operate our budgets. All these are I think there are certain things to be emphasized. So the issue here is compliance with all of these things. I would advise that we all get these documents. The chairman, Civil Service Commission, has told us the expectations of the commission. I have also just discussed the PFM law and other circulars and the expectations from them. Here I will stop, and I expect that we will all comply for us to have good governance in Lagos State. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. May we please give her another round. I observed with concern the mere symmetry-like silence when she was giving her speech. Why? Because it is compliance, compliance, compliance. It's what? Compliance, compliance, and compliance with all the financial management laws and financial memoranda and all of that. It's also interesting to note that the core circular from the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning is also very, very important to our work. So to that extent, I do know that indeed this speech is not also a speech, but is what? Another round of words. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to call on the head of service, Lagos State Public Service, ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Central Internal Audit, Mrs. Kikelo Modaudi. Good message, and also prepare the program. Office of Internal Audit. We're so sorry, there is a bit of mix-up. We need to call on the Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Finance, for his own good message. First, the Honorable Commissioner Finance is ably represented by their Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Mr. Udoga Sewanu Telitope.
I want to acknowledge the presence of the number one civil servant of Lagos State, Mr. Akin Kola, ably represented by Mrs. Kikelo Modaudi, aka Mumiju, Office of Internal Audit, the Chairman, Civil Service Commission, Mrs. Fabahu, because we have 5 girls, so she's a girl. And then the Chairman, Audit Service Commission, one of the 5 girls, Mrs. Adekimpe Oluwatoyin Adekunji Onikoyi. The commissioners of the foremost and number one commission, the only one that is in the Constitution. Civil Service Commission, and particularly was my Oga in those days. Former DFA for accountants. My FC friend of chartered accountants. My special elder brother from the base, from the source, Honorable Suru Afonse. My colleagues, permanent secretaries, and tutor generals, particularly my ageless sister, Mrs. Dr. Thomas. And my colleagues and friends, the Director of Finance and Accountant, and other accountants here, because I was first and foremost an accountant before I became permanent secretary. So I still maintain link with my constituency. And then my brothers and sisters, the auditors, because you will be an accountant first before you become an auditor. So they are still our brothers and sisters, widely recognized. Men of the press, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be present at this auspicious gathering and to join everyone in promoting the core values of the Center of Excellence, Lagos State, via the Career Week event organized by the Civil Service Commission. I particularly want to commend the Commission for her persistence in organizing this credible event and for contributing her quota towards providing and motivating a highly qualified and competent workforce that is disciplined and productive. The theme for this year 2022 Career Week, compliance with Lagos State Public Finance Management and other extant financial provision, is very timely and appropriate as the state seeks to steer its service delivery and revenue generation to uncharted levels. Indeed, the workforce of any organization is the most valuable asset that determines the timely achievement and actualization of both growth and development of the organization, either in the short or long run. It is therefore expedient that such unique and valuable asset is constantly improved through a fit-for-purpose learning and training framework to the benefit of the organization. Lagos State is an exception. Lagos State is not an exception. The quality of the state civil service is a reflection of the performance of the state in every sector of the state, and my car is covering the screen. So if I remove it, you will be happy. Then you will kill cow before I move, because then it prays. The quality of the state civil service is a reflection of the performance of the state in every sector of the state and in multiple dimensions. For example, our service efficiency, service quality and innovation are only made possible by the state personnel based on their capacity, competence and values. Consequently, it behooves on us as the state civil service to give the best we can and ensure we fulfill our contractual obligation of service due to the state. At this junction, it is important to state that no group of personnel has as much duty and obligation to demonstrate accountability and transparency as much as those in charge of the state resources. Thus, whether as director or as an accounting officer, all personnel involved in the handling of the finances of the state owe it to the public to demonstrate a sense of due care, competence, and professionalism while discharging their duties. It is important to recognize that the stewardship bestowed on us to manage the state resources is not an entitlement, but a responsibility that must be taken seriously. Prepared and publishing financial statement, for example, must be done with the utmost care to ensure that the statement reflects a true and fair view of the performance and resources of the state. As accountants, we must project the highest standard of ethics, integrity, and objectivity to ensure we are indeed independent and are also perceived to be so. It is only when we earn such recognition of independence that our responsibility to advise government on various aspects of our jobs, such as resource maximization, revenue optimization, and so on, will be taken with the deserved seriousness. Nevertheless, without the important guidance of our statutory framework, it will be difficult to establish the appropriate mode of operation that is expected and acceptable as best practice within our subnational context. Thankfully, we have a robust legislative framework that is periodically reviewed to provide guidance on global best practices. However, it is one thing to have the best statutory framework. It is another to fully apply them as individuals when carrying out our duties. It is my hope and belief that today's event will shape our mindset to continue to tow the path of compliance with our extant financial provision and further stimulate the culture of excellence in the management of the state resources. I charge anyone present to make a personal resolve to desist from any action tantamount to financial infraction, but to focus on building an admirable reputation for ourselves and for the state at large, even if the state rewards our collective efforts to deliver excellence. We must remember that a good name is better than gold and silver. Thus, we must focus on values that have long-lasting worth beyond the transient little gains that non-compliance may bring, aside the negative consequences and penalties for non-compliance. Once again, I commend the Civil Service Commission, particularly Mrs. Fabanwu, the chairman, and the commissioners, and the permanent secretary, and my colleagues, for successfully creating a forum like this, where the desire for important core values can be engendered within us, and the drive for transparency, accountability, commitment to the right cause can be stimulated in line with the vision of the Commission to be an organization that is dynamic, efficient, and effective. I wish all guests and participants a nice time out here and a successful event. God bless you all, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. May we please give another round of applause for our permanent secretary. God bless you all. God bless you, sir. What I can take, what I think we should take, very important, one anecdote that is key, that perhaps all of us here should be brought up with. His good name is better than gold and silver. it says it all. Yes, the performance of the state as a state, as a subnational, is dimensioned by the quality of its personnel. And in that quality, particularly for some of us in this room, as accountants and auditors, there are some core values which our permanent secretary has really emphasized. And these core values are what? Integrity, transparency, accountability, and responsibility. I am very sure if you have all of this, compliance becomes very easy. Thank you very much, sir. Without taking too much of your time, I would like to invite the Permanent Secretary, Office of Internal Audits, Mrs. Kikelomo Dawood, to please come forward as she represents the head of service of our State of Excellence. Thank you.
Good morning, the vibrant Lagos State Civil Service. So I want to try to do what you want to do. Don't mind me. Please, protocols. I'm recognizing the Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Finance, represented by my landlord, the man who have sold the house. Neighbor, Chairman, Civil Service Commission, Mrs. Kabawu, you are recognized. The auditor's chairperson, Mrs. Uduatoyi Adeguji Unikoyi. The team members are here, particularly Mr. Odeyemi, our own. Yes. Recognize you. And you are still one of us. The other members are recognized. The body of permanent secretary, particularly a PS of the Holy Race, the PS WAPA, you are highly recognized. The Auditor General, you are recognized. And all the acting Auditor General, who is not here present, all heads of extraministerial agencies and parastatals, the directors of the first, the strongest commission, the Civil Service Commission. All distinguished guests, my colleagues, I'm an hybrid. I'm the only hybrid. Yes. I was an accountant. I'm now an auditor. My brothers and sisters, accountants and auditors, I bring you greetings from the head of service. Let me go to his speech. It gives me great pleasure to join you here today for the second edition of the Lagos Public Service Career Week. I record with this the maiden edition, which held earlier this year to address concerns with limited understanding and application of the public service rules, scheme of service, and other regulations regarding the HR management ecosystem in the state public service. I have no doubt whatsoever that the impact of that exercise was positive service-wide, as the majority of civil and public servants will appear to since demonstrate keener awareness and understanding of the different provisions of the rules guiding ethical and professional conduct in the public service. I therefore believe that this edition, which is themed Compliance with Lagos State Public Finance Management and other extant financial provisions, is apt as a natural flow to the first edition, given its focus on dwindling government revenues occasioned by happenings beyond the shores of our country and other extraneous factors affecting the economy of the nation. I therefore passionately urge all public servants, particularly officers in the finance and accounts, as well as audit cadres, to take advantage of the opportunity provided by the second edition of the Career Week to grow in knowledge, skills, and competencies that will stand you
out in your career progression over the years. I encourage you to be firm, bold, and courageous in the application of rules, regulations, and legal procedures, and to discharge your duties and responsibilities in line with global best practices. Let me re-emphasize that the present administration of Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu places a very high premium on strict compliance with due process in the management of public funds. In this regard, this administration will not waver in its demonstrated commitment to strengthen the public service processes and procedures in a way that will promote prudence, transparency, and accountability in the management and disbursement of public funds. It is only in this way that the Lagos State can attain the goal of becoming a 21st century economy in line with the team's agenda, and to also ensure that the greater Lagos dream is achieved. We all realize that if money wisely spent, not only for us, but also for the generation coming, we must ensure Lagos. Importantly, and before concluding, I must add that although the role that finance and account officers have played in ensuring compliance and accountability in public service cannot be overemphasized, it is not only finance and account officers that should observe compliance with rules and procedures for effective service delivery. It is critically important that all cadres in the public service adhere equally to the same rules, regulations, and guidelines for the state public service to successfully midwife the greater Lagos dream. So the buck stops with all of us here. And thank God that the body is also here. Being on the other side of the divide, I want to enjoy all of us to peace. Like Sonia said, only babe came in on me. Let all of us carry Lagos in all of our discharge of our duties and let the youth let it work. Finally, I must commend the chairman and the members of the Civil Service Commission, as well as the permanent secretary, management and staff for their clear commitment in sustaining this enlightenment program towards ensuring that public servants across all cadres are well grounded in the rules. It is worthy, it's a worthy cause, and one that will greatly add value to the Center of Excellence and the state of Akwa Ibom. I want to recognize my employer, Mrs. Boladele Dakotomus. And you can only give it to the commission, because when you train your staff, that means you know the best. We appreciate you, ma'am. God bless you. For this note, I wish you all a fruitful and rewarding week. Thank you for your attention. The career week is hereby declared over.
We can do it better for Mommy Gio. Mommy Gio, ma. We were expecting our communication letter from the head of service, man. Thank you very much. You can see the difference. When the other species were being read, particularly apart from the first one by the chairman, it was all embraced. This very one too is talking of compliance not only peculiar to our accountants and auditors, but to all of us. That is coming from the number one public servant in the States. And to that extent, we'd like to once again thank Madam for representing the head of service very well, particularly as a hybrid. I don't know where to start. The opening ceremony is drawing to a close, where we are going to go into plenary, where we have all our technical sessions and all that. That's the business of the day, as it were. However, before we close shop for this section of the program, I would like to humbly call on the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Civil Service Commission, Mrs. Oladile Aderemi Thomas, to please give us the last of this short, which is the vote of thanks. Our Permanent Secretary, our teacher man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agbabiaka. When we get to the office, we shall discuss. We shall discuss. Well. We are coming to the end of the opening ceremony. This is day one. It is a career week. I am saying this for the purpose of auditing. So that our auditors will know that we are having a week. It's not a day. It's not a day. Because we have been taught to be very prudent with government funds, and of course, at least from all we have listened to, and of course, we need to ensure proper appropriation of resources. Thank you very much for listening. And of course, I think what I have to do here is very simple. The chairman, the ladies have done the research, done the job. In fact, I was very pleased with all the goodwill messages that became lecture notes. So there are much more than goodwill messages. I am curate all the copies for our annual report in the Civil Service Commission. And indeed, if it is of any benefit, and I'm sure it is, I expect that every one of us should ask for copies. Or indeed, I think we would send copies to the platform, to the relevant platform. This is Shobo, and of course, PSCI would help us disseminate these speeches. They are speeches that are very good to guide us in all that we do in our various professions, in our various MDPs. So our vote of thanks, I'm start with the head of service, order of protocol, Mr. Akim Mori-Okwala, ably represented by the permanent secretary, CIA, Mrs. Kelomo Daudu. The Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Finance, Mr. Ravi Onolapo Udowu, also ably represented by Mr. Udogon, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry. The Chairman, Civil Service Commission, Mrs. Regina Ulubomi-Fabamu, FC, IPM, MIOD, and all the other alphabets that she always begs me not to mention. She always begs me not to mention the I greet you, ma'am. The 4 commission members, Commissioner 1, Mr. A.M. Odeyemi, representing Ikorodu Division. Commissioner 2 is on his way. Honorable Kamal Olonwoje, representing Lagos Division. Commissioner 3, Otumba Baba. There's another name we call ourselves, but we won't say it here. Mr. Baba Tunde Seriki represents Epe Division, and Commissioner 4, Honorable HSA Deusulu Abose, representing Badagry Division. I greet you, sir. That's notwithstanding, I also like to greet our team, Chairman, Audit Service Commission, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Adekunle. Every time I call her, she responds. Thank you very much. committee. The body of permanent secretaries ably represented. I know my own are here, and they always support. I know it's a very tight time for us in the body of the permanent secretaries. Everyone is having one program or the other, but some of us have decided to make it here. This is streaming on YouTube, and I know some of them are hooking up. We said we have sent the link so that people can also join us in this ceremony. Well, we expect also the acting Auditor General, State Auditor General and Permanent Secretary. We expect him. I believe he will be here. And of course, our dear directors, finance and accounts and directors, audit and every other schedule officer here. Thank you very much. And my lieutenants in the commission, most especially the Director, Career Management Directorate, and his team, gentlemen of the press. It is a privilege and great joy for me to extend a vote of thanks to all of those who have contributed in one way or the other towards the success of the opening ceremony, which is day one. Audit, please note, of the year 2022 career week. Let me start by appreciating the head of service, Mr. Murio Mola, who has been our veritable partner in progress in the human resource management sphere and constant supporter of all the programs of the commission. We say thank you very much. I thank the Honorable Commissioner of Finance, who with great delight accepted our invitation, even though at short notice I called him and said he would love to be here. And he's called me, and he sent a message this morning that but for the Bureau commissioning, he would have been here. But he knew that he agrees with us that this program is important, and we'd like to say thank you to him, because we know water role is always played in the public finance sector, and there is no other way we would not have our dear commissioner with us, who is aptly named Mr. Ulu. My thanks also goes to the Chairman Audit Service Commission, as I've said earlier, our supporter, who also as an astute accountant and auditor desires excellence amongst the auditors. I crave your indulgence to give kudos to the commission led by our indefatigable chairman, Amani. Sisi, sorry, Sisi, we don't have Sisi. So whenever you see her, please Sisi me. Yes, Sisi me, indefatigable chairman, Civil Service Commission, and the four musketeers. Yes, always very supportive. They deserve a big thank you and congratulations for a job well done, because this was, brainstorm, we sit down, we agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, so that we bring out impactful programs. The interest, commitment, and enthusiasm in the design of this program are indeed a good sign that all would be well and would impact the public service positively. I wish to acknowledge particularly the support of the State Treasury Office, the Accountant General, and the Director A&HR, Mrs. Shubowali, had been so supportive. I know where my bread is buttered, so I must really greet them. I know where my bread is buttered. We still have some PVs. And of course, the Accountant General, who told me he would be here. Other resource persons that we have in the resource persons, I'm sure, would share with us knowledge, experiences, and guide us in the right directions. We are indeed very grateful for their acceptance of this invitation. I also wish to acknowledge of those we have called for, also innumerable mention. Thank you for your invaluable contribution. We had started the journey, I think, in September when I reached out to Mrs. Daudu and the Auditor General, and of course the Accountant General for topics, and we sat down together. The Commission is very big on working, on synergizing, on working together with our partners. We do not sit down in the Commission and profess to know it all. We also do a lot of networking. And indeed, we sat down and we looked at the topics together. So thank you for your contribution. I express our gratitude to all our directors, F&A. I was so happy when I came in here and I saw people flipping in. And indeed, I knew that it was very important to them, and of course, they knew that it would be beneficial. And of course, for our directors, audit, who are attending this year's career week. We understand, yes, that you have taken time out of your very important schedule, particularly at this point in we will close that. You have to go to Treasury, Director Treasury Operations. Is she here? I doubt if she would be. Director, we are all there. All of us are in that office because it is. The auditors will now come and start shining their torchlights. It must be 0-0 at the end of the year. But God help us, we would reach, we would meet and comply. So we understand that yes, you are very busy, but at the same time we know that this is a very important event, and we thank you for your attendance. This is very appreciated. Today we said is day one. Tomorrow is another day of the career week. However, this would be virtual, and the link for the virtual exercise would be forwarded to the relevant platforms. Tomorrow we would expect that you join us virtually for another topic, audit control and considerations, internal control mechanisms in MDAs, to be anchored by the hybrid professional, Mrs. Dowd. Hybrid. Tomorrow we expect you to join us virtually. We would send to you the link. Welcome, PAMSEC Audit Service Commission. And of course, I'd like to welcome the Commissioner to Honorable Kamal Olonwuje, representing Lagos Division. You're welcome. At this juncture, let me put on record our appreciation to Mr. Selebu, Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who has always charged us as a commission to challenge the status quo and has been the driving force behind the whole process. His vision, interest and political will have once again culminated in another success story. I wish to thank the MD for the provision of the resources which ensured the organization and the smooth running of all our programs. Finally, I wish to thank God Almighty, who makes all things well, who makes all things bright and beautiful, without whom all this would be impossible, for bringing us to the end of this opening ceremony. Also, I am not leaving out the gentlemen of the press, who we always call. Please show my face. Who we always call, and they are always there for us. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance and for listening. I really haven't left anyone out. Thank you very much.
permanent secretary. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have presented to you the Lagos State Civil Service Commission. We have done what? Presented to you the Prime Commission, led Chairman and our 4 distinguished commissioners, the Permanent Secretary, and our very distinguished directors. Before we go into the technical session, there will be a group photograph, and that group photograph, by order, will start from the people on the top table first, before we begin to. So where are our photographers? The arrangements.
Seven.
And the topic of that panel discussion, please let us have some order, please. Please, let's have some order, please. It's a panel discussion, and that panel discussion is topic establishment issues in finance and accounts. Establishment issues in finance and accounts. For us to drive this very important topic, we have a panel. The Accountant General and Permanent Secretary, STO, State Treasury Office. The person, the doctor, the Accountant General is going to start the technical session. And that technical session is going to be sharing perspectives on the topic, addressing the challenges in public financial management law and public sector reforms in Lagos State Public Service. Will you please welcome Please join me in welcoming the heat. Thank you very much.
My chairman, our chairman, and your chairman. Please indulge my dear colleagues. When I look at this topic, I realize that I'll be boring you with a lot of what you already know. But it's also a wake-up call to know. I know that my employers who have decided to slate this topic, they know the reason. They want you to refresh your brain as to what they taught you when you picked up this job. I'm aware that 90% of people here are accountants and auditors. And all I've been asked to discuss about are challenges in the PFM. I'm still waiting for the slides, but before the slide comes in, I'll begin to talk about it. I've tried to divide my own group and the topics into about 5 slides. The first one will look at what PFM is all about. The second one will be looking at what are we trying to achieve with PFM. PFM means Public Finance Management. What are we trying to achieve with it? That's what you'll be expecting from the whole package that I have. But I'll just go on, which is the first one, trying to define what PFM is all about. PFM has to do with embodiment of rules, laws, processes that governs how we collect money, how we allocate that money that we have collected, how we disburse money, and how we account for that money, as well as how do we audit the money. That's all what PFM is talking about. PFM is actually, when you look at it, is divided into about 6 phases. We have the first one, lose track. So the first one has to do with policy formulation. And people involved in policy formulation are majorly political parties, the researchers, as well as civil societies. You will recall that this present administration policy trust has to do with the team's agenda, and it was actually formed before they came on board. And it was actually it was those who come up with a budget formulation, which is the next form. Having developed the policy, then we have the policy and the budget formulation. The budget formulation involves not just MEP, it involves all the MDAs. It involves the legislature too, who will also look at what you have done and ask one question or the other. Beyond that, we also look at budget approval. That's when we will call at the House of Assembly from time to time to come and develop our budget. Also from there, we go to budget execution. That starts from when the accountant general or the honorable commissioner issues a warrant. That starts from when the honorable commissioner for finance issues a warrant authorizing the accountant general to spend from the budget as approved. And then the accountant general also issue a more like a concurrent warrant asking all NDAs to come up with their own, with their files.
Make your computer easier to use. You can use the tools in this section to help you get started. Windows can read and scan this list.
Do you have it? Yes, I do. We're sorry for the break in the transmission. I'm sure I've discussed here, and that's where I was trying to define what PFM is all about. That is an embodiment of laws, rules, processes that guides how we collect money, how we collect money, how we allocate money, how we spend that money, as well as how we account for it. And I tried to also explain that it's commonly conceived as a circle of 6 phases. That 6 phases is what I was trying to discuss in my next diagram, where you have the 6 phases of policy formulation, budget formulation, budget approval, budget execution, accounting for it, and external audit. I'm sure we are all aware this is what we are conversant with, and you realize that a lot of people are involved in this. So where I stopped was in the area of budget execution. That's when the honorable commissioner issue a warrant giving accountant general permission to begin to spend from the budget. Having gotten vouchers from various ministries, there's always the need for us to account for those things, and that's where we come to our accounting, and that's actually done by the office of the accountant general. And then at the end of the year, not just the office of the accountant general, and various ministries too, you are expected to prepare one set of financial statements or the other. On a monthly basis, we are expected to drop those financial statement results, upon which we issue a clearance. What we have noticed sometimes is that some people don't meet up to time. This is just a wake-up call again. I've gotten the permission of our employer to inform you again that from next year, after the first, okay, take for instance in January, by February 15, if you don't get the returns of January, we will close the period. Because if you don't close the period, we won't be able to do other things. We've discussed with them, we have their permission to inform you. I'm sure that was why they organized this. Having done the accounting, then we come to what we call external audit. You know, the law says that the accountant general must by law submit the accounts by 31st of March of the year. Of the coming year, of the succeeding year. The account of 2022, I must prepare it and submit it to State Auditor General latest by 31st of March. And with all this, it shows that all of us have a lot of work to do. Accountant General cannot do it alone. We need all the FDAs. If you don't submit your own, there is no way Accountant General can finish it. Even beyond that, we've also adopted IPSAS accrual. We adopted IPSAS accrual in 2016. And we finished the first phase. We are moving to the second phase, which is consolidation. Consolidation means we will put all the accounts of NDAs plus its parastatals. Unfortunately, we ought to have started consolidation in 2020. Up till now, we've not gotten to it. Why? Because there has always been delay from rendition of returns from our colleagues in parastatals. We appeal to our colleagues in various parastatals to let's take this work serious, take it serious. In the coming year, it will be business as usual. I know the only thing I have is just to post you out. I will be forced to post you out. Because the law says after the 4th year, you must do one thing. We have gotten to 2000. We could not do it. We could not do it in 2021. We should be able to do it in 2022. If we are not able to do it in 2022, I think I won't be wrong if I post that person now. I have your permission now, my colleagues. I have your permission. So if anybody, TFIS, please note, some must note, anybody that doesn't submit like 31st March, let's try and do the needful, post the person out. My employers are here, they are hearing. Mrs. Thomas, I'm sure you are hearing. I have your permission.
You said you are sanctioning or you are posting out?
Just posting in the first instance. Yes. Yes. Okay, we should sanction. Yes, you can come here. My employer said I must sanction them. So if you are not performing, let's sanction. We have others who are ready to do the job. It's wrong. Sorry, that is just by digression. So the next question is, okay. So what are we trying to achieve with public finance management? And those are the objectives of public PFM. One is to maintain aggregate fiscal discipline. That what you have planned to collect as revenue, you are able to collect it. You know, at the beginning of the year, we plan to do in 2022, our budget size of revenue was about how much? 896 billion. So what we should be seen to have collected should be 896 billion or more at the end of the year. So that's what we are trying to achieve with it. In the same vein, if you have budgeted 10 billion naira for construction of roads, you must not do anything beyond 10 billion naira on that construction of roads. That is what we mean by fiscal discipline. Also, what we are trying to achieve is what we call public resources allocated to agreed strategic priorities. You know, if you look at the Mr. Governor's team's agenda, that is what contains his priorities. Those are his strategic priorities. He has the transport and traffic management, health. You must ensure that when you are allocating funds, it cuts across all those strategic areas. That's one thing we are trying to achieve again when it comes to PFM law. Then the third one is to ensure that there is operational efficiency. That if you have spent 10 naira, there is value for money, for the money you have spent. What we have most times is people will spend 10 naira, you can't even justify it. That is not acceptable. You should have a system that will not support it. And lastly, we should ensure that we follow due process. There are processes laid down. We should at all times ensure that we follow those processes to ensure that jobs are done well. One thing, even when you don't make mistakes, even when the FCC comes to you, the first thing they will look at is what processes are being followed. If you have done work and you have followed the right thing, if somebody has raised the wrong and blow the wrong whistle, there will be nothing if you have followed the right process. At all times, let us make sure that we follow the right process. That's what PFM is trying to achieve. So this is just speaking to why public finance management. See, what this one is trying to say is that why are we even planning it? Why are we embracing it? You know that every time we call economic planning or do what we call for call circular, they send out call circular. A lot of people will list loads of items ranging from about 4-5 billion. Ministry B will do 10 billion. Unfortunately, what they are constrained by a particular level of revenue. So that is the main reason why we are doing PFM. Because we want to make sure that we allocate the little resources we have, that everybody, every agency, every strategic area take advantage of it, so that no strategic area is disadvantaged. So I also said that I was going to mention the legal framework that is guiding the PFM. The various legal frameworks start from the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. The Constitution provides that all money received must be first paid to the CRF, and that also that the Honorable Commissioner must issue a warrant to the Accountant General. Those are the things that give birth to everything we are doing. It's not that Accountant General or anybody is doing anywhere, anything from anywhere. There are rules that have been put in one book or the other, or laws that have been included in one particular law or the other. Also, the Lagos State Public Finance Management Law is a very important one. All accountants and auditors must be very conversant with this. They are very important. Don't say, oh, I don't need it. When you will need it, you don't know. I've asked course to use it several times. It has helped me because I have knowledge of it. You have to have the knowledge of it. Also, the financial regulations. I was just going to ask I was going to ask our employers when they are going to be testing us on financial regulations. You see, one thing that helped me, I must say it, is the fact that we were doing exams. I don't read financial regulations until when there is time for exam. And those things we read that time put you on your feet. It should not be punitive, but again, let's just try and do that test. Please review it, see what we can do. I'm not against anybody's promotion. They will say, after all, he has gotten his own promotion. But I must tell you, one thing that has stand me out is the fact that they trained me, they tested me, They trusted me. And I must tell you that thank you, my employers. If you have not done that, I won't be where I am today. So let's do the same thing for them. Also of importance is the Lagos State Audit Law. We must be conversant with it. Our auditors, please try and know it. No knowledge is wasted. Also, the Finance Act has amended. The Finance Act every year, we try to amend it. There are loads of amendments. We created a session one time that we had a course on it. Thomas, was that? Yes. I took part in that course. Let's try and keep ourselves involved every time. Let's know what is happening in our surroundings. Also, the Lagos State pension law. See, that pension law, I never knew it until when we were writing it. It was that exam that made us know it. Let's know it. That was when I know who pension for custodian is, pension for the administrator. If you ask a French staff now that has gotten to level 10, ask them, they will tell you. You must revisit that thing, honestly. Also, the Treasury circulars issued by the Office of the Accountant General. Let's try to read it. The PS Civil Service Commission, the last time she came here to have a session with us, made an observation that the last one that was expired was done in 2017. Why is it that they've not done enough? I'm sure we've done enough now. And I can assure you that everybody should have a copy before they give us. Because the challenge us, we want the best for all our staff, and we must all have the best. We are the best, we are the role model for others. Let's try and project ourselves like that. Thank you, ma'am. And also the Lagos State Public Procurement Law. You see, it surprises me that you leave all your work for procurement people to do. And you see, luckily for me, I worked on the work bank project. And Mr. Odoforte and I had training on procurement together. And I can tell you that the best procurement person is an accountant. We have a better understanding of it. You see, you are the best. Why not embrace it? Read out law is very simple for you. And at the end of the day, you can then challenge your employer that, look, I'm fit for this work. If there is an opening, you can tell your employer that what the person you are looking for is the right person for the job. I'm sure they will consider you. Please try and know it, acquaint yourself with it. If you want me to teach you, I'll take my time to have a class with you on it. I promise you, I don't know if my employer will pay me, but I promise to give you that time. So, when you look at all these things, what does it amount to? What are the benefits? The first one is that it boosts investors' confidence. Whosoever wants to do PPP with Lagos State, by the time he sees our financial statement, he sees that our financial statement is prepared on an accrual basis. I'm sure you'll be interested in doing business with us. You do a trend analysis of our figures, and he knows that people there, and he has seen that Auditor General has expressed an opinion on it. I can bet you that he will do business with us. That's one good thing that the thing has done for us. And that's why you see that every time we are getting that rating of AAAA, AAA, it's because we are doing it better. It's because we have the right PFM arrangement in place. Thank you to our employers. So there is also the value for money in whatever you do. PFM ensures that you don't just spend money. At the end of the day, when you spend money, there is value for money. When you spend 10 naira, that 10 naira can be seen. Don't bother to write. I will give you copies. I'm sure they will still circulate. it fosters rapid economic growth. And anywhere you have PFM, there will be economic growth, there will be activities will grow for you, you will have the right thing. And also, it is effective delivery of goods and services. I have here the various reforms, various finance reforms that have been adopted by Lagos State government. The first one is the fact that we adopted the use of preparatory single account. I'm sure we all know that one. We used to have separately the year account, the withholding tax account, we have another revenue account. Now we have just one revenue account. Is it clear to you? That's what it translates to. And when we want to spend, we move everything into an expenditure account before we spend. And also we adopted the accrual IPSAS. I've explained here several times that we adopted the accrual IPSAS in 2016, and that's one thing that has helped us, that has projected us as the leader, state of excellence. The state also adopted the PPA law. You know, I have promised again that I will come back and come and teach you public procurement. I have the training, I'll come, if my employer will pay. Even if they don't pay, I'll come, because I'm helping myself.
I pay you when you release.
Also, we adopted the use of Oracle Financials. I'm sure we are all conversant with Oracle. And we also introduced the state introduced the CBS. Unfortunately, some of our colleagues are not helping the system. You know, we've been complaining about the fact that our revenue is not enough. Mr. Governor has made a pronouncement that he wants to increase our salary. He knows that our salary is small. He's not happy with the fact that our salary is small. He wants to increase it. We have to help the poor man. One of those things, to get that revenue, is centralized paying system. Fortunately, for us to make sure that we are on that CBS platform, only 42 agencies are on CBS. In the new year, there will be sanctions. My employer has given me the permission to make sure that I sanction anyone that failed to enroll on the CBS. We are not threatening you, I'm only making it clear to you. Also, the state enacted the audit law and established the Audit Service Commission. And we have our chairman here. Our chairman, we thank you, man. I'm sure you've seen various innovations that have been coming, reforms that have been coming as a result of that commission. Also, they designated the accountants from accountant cadre to finance and account officers. We're not just accountants, we are finance and account officers. You know, we've moved from just accountant to finance and account officers. Also enacted is the law on GMO. The law, beyond the fact that they enacted that law, there was that office that was created again. And that was what gave rise and birth to my tenants who are upstairs. We don't have tenants upstairs, GMO office. They are using me here and they are refused to pay me. Also, we have various reforms of budgetary. We have the National Chart of Account that we just embraced. When are we starting the training on National Chart of Account? Next year?
Yes, sir.
What time next year?
Around March, sir.
March. Please, everybody must be trained on National Chart of Account. You see, National Chart of Account will enable us to know what has been spent on a particular area, what has been spent on a particular sector, if you ask about education, it's not just what is spent on education that is for education. There could be other ancillaries that are going on somewhere. All of them, you will know what has been spent on education. What has been spent on, you want to know what has been spent on, say, a particular ward. You'll be able to get it from the National Chart of Accounts. And that is what the state has embraced. We must ensure that we see the benefit of it. And he has confirmed that we're starting the training in March. And I'm sure our employer is coming to declare it open. Yes. And also we introduced the expenditure management plan for cash planning. What this one connotes is that it is wrong for us to say just take our budget and divide it by 12. If you have a budget for capital expenditure, it is possible that a month in February you are giving the person advance payment. You won't pay him until like August. So if you are giving him 40% advance payment, it will be wrong for you to now put a figure for March, April, May, until August when you pay him. You will now put another figure there. So that's what we call expenditure management plan. And that's what we have embraced in the state. We ask MDA to submit theirs at the beginning of every year when the budget is passed. Wow, that's why we are here is what I'm coming to hear. And that's where we need our employer also to be attentive to. The first one is inadequate knowledge of regulatory framework guiding PFA. We need to train us. You may don't assume that you have read it. You know, I just spoke here that what made me to know it is the fact that we were conducting an exam for us, and I was reading towards passing that exam. So I could pass, and at the end of the day, it has helped me. Please help my colleagues who are here, who are still on level 16, 15, help them do the same for them. Another problem is operation of multiplicity of dedicated accounts. Dedicated accounts are increasing every day. It's becoming bearable again. We need to do something about it. We need to stop it. We need to explain, give reason why we do. People must come with cogent reason if they need this dedicated account. And let's close the one we don't need. Inadequate ICT infrastructure in some MDs. I'm aware that some MDs don't have the right infrastructure. It's not due to the fault of yours. And that's why I said our employers are here. They are trying to see, they are seeing what I've listed there. And that is the non-provision of expenditure profile by MDs for cash planning. That one is due to your own because you are not giving guidance to your people. You need to sit down with your permanent secretary. This is what the accountant general is trying to say. Give an example that even if you want to build this office or you want to buy stationaries, you can only buy it one time or 4 times in a year. You won't be buying it every month. Don't divide it by months, by 12. Do you understand? So sit down with your PAMSEC, explain to your PAMSEC that this is the expectation of the accountant general. You need to provide an expenditure management plan for Mr. Governor so that Governor can plan his own cash flow. I hope it's clear to you, sir. And there's the lack of synergy among critical stakeholders. That's true. No synergy. And above all, you know, I said it earlier. My topic, my beautiful topic that I like so much, VUCA. VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. You know, between 2020 and now, we faced a lot of VUCA, Lagos State. We started with the COVID, we did the NSAS, we moved from NSAS, we moved to Ukraine, Russia war, all of them has created some volatility in our business. I'll give you an example. At the beginning of this year, when we budgeted, our diesel was budgeted at 250 to a liter. Today is 800 naira. It's not due to the fault of any of you that is seated here. It's not due to the fault of Mr. Governor. It's not due to the fault of Mr. President. It's not due to the fault of anyone in the world. It's because of the war. With all these challenges, now comes what is the way out of it. We need continuous capacity building. Our employer, if you don't train us, you can't blame us. Let me say it clearly. It's not at that front too. I mean, if they don't train us, can they blame us? Let them train us now. On our own part, we need to adhere strictly to circulars on the operation of dedicated accounts. Our employer needs to provide the right tools for us, ICT infrastructure, and MDAs. Where you are having challenges, if you bring it to the attention of your banks here, you can come back to me and tell me too. If I have an opportunity, I can also find a way around it. Okay? And we need to continuously engage ourselves like what we are doing here now. We are engaging ourselves, we're trying to share ideas, we're trying to see the way out. And lastly, I've tried to provide, in my lecture at Expo Shares, it was on VUCA, in public service. So as I said, you can only address VUCA with VUCA. You need to have the right vision to address that volatility. You need to have the right understanding to address uncertainty. You need to be clear about what you are doing. And this, I'm still going to explain it further. To address complexity. And you need to be agile to address ambiguity. You see, when I was giving the example of the budget that we started this year with the price of diesel at 250. Today is about 800 naira. What can we do? Is there anybody who wants to suggest? When it comes to budget, what can we do? It shows that our planning, our budgeting style is wrong. It shows that the budgeting style we are using is wrong. Are we going to use zero-based budgeting? Will that solve the problem? No. What kind of budgeting are we then going to use? We need to devise that right type of budgeting. And that, I think the best thing we can use is rolling budget. We ensure that our budget is on for, say, like 3 months. We appraise ourselves, see where we're doing well, and then we review that budget. We do a rolling budget. I will implore that you still take your time to look at my slides on VUCA to enrich your knowledge. If you need explanation, take time to reach me. I think I'm getting tired. I need to sit down. Thank you so much for your
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. Now, Doctor, easy. We would like to take questions.
Better. Thank you, sir.
But before we take our questions, I will do small alaye. Can't you say this paper is very technical? Is it very technical? One of my friends, anytime something does not appear well for him, I go have to give him my technical go. Anything he does not understand is always very technical. Technical go, technical go. Paper is technical, it's very technical. You see, the gist of this is that even I, as an administrator and HR practitioner, have taken some lessons here that there is indeed some level of synergy between the financial management law and public financial management law and other laws such as pension, the pension law, procurement law, and I'm sure so many other laws. And where I'm even amazed is all these reforms in the financial sector. It means that the financial sector is also going with the public service reform agenda, which makes it for all of us to be on the same page. And I'm also very, very excited by not only VUCA, but to see the antidote to VUCA, particularly the talk of vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. Doctor, thank you very, very much. Please, another round of applause for Doctor. Okay, yeah. Let me quickly, while Doctor was on the floor, we had two distinguished personalities that joined us. We have join me in welcoming the Permanent Secretary, Local Government Service Commission, Engineer Abiola Koshebe, who just joined us. I also like to warmly welcome Mr. Moshood Adewi, the Acting State Auditor General. Our attention has also been drawn to a particular vehicle, a white Nissan X-Terror blocking another car. There is also another Camry. Okay, let me give the registration number of the Nissan. It's AAA 644AL. So the owner is here, please apply. Also, another car that is also blocking other cars is Camry LSR 117FV. Thank you very much. We are set to take our questions from the audience. Yeah. So, just do a brief introduction, ask any question, your name and your FDA. Yes, we have something. Questions? Do we have questions? You said AG said that it's your terrain, so you're at home. Yeah. We want to assume that all is well. This is an interactive session, so even if it is not, we don't have a question, we have a way of comments, by way of comment.
You don't have a last question.
It's getting more technical now. This is getting more technical. Because the AG has promised to ask. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
I'd like to ask the AG, yes. I'm sorry I came late, but I saw in the presentation something about the central billing system. And he mentioned that MDAs need to kind of key into the CBS, and if they don't, they'll be sanctioned. My thought was that it was the Office of the STO of Finance that are actually supposed to bring MDAs on board. So maybe perhaps the PS can explain further.
Well, every revenue generating entities are expected to hook up to standards. So if you need support, you need guidance, meet us at testimony. We are not really to support you. Since my colleagues
cannot answer questions,
are not asking me questions, I would like to ask them questions.
Yeah, in the absence of further questions on this presentation, we'd like to move quickly to the next session, which is the panel discussion. And the topic of the panel discussion is establishment issues in finance and accounts. And we have a panel, we have a moderator, and we also have a panel of discussants. So I would like to humbly invite the Permanent Secretary, the Lagos State Civil Service Commission, as a moderator to join the panel, sir. Give me a round of applause. Also joining the panel of discussants on this topic is our Commissioner 1, Lagos State Civil Service Commission, Mr. A.M. Odeyemi. Another important permanent secretary to join the panel is the permanent secretary, Office of Finance, Mr. Ogogon. So welcome to the topic. Also joining the discussants is the permanent secretary, Central Internal Office of Central Internal Audit, Mrs. Kelomo Aniola. Office of Internal Audit, Lagos Central. We also have to join the panel of discussants the Acting State Auditor General, Mr. Moshood Adewi. Welcome. Like I said, if you look at the panel of discussants, what are the mission? Will it be deliberate?
It's better than
Join me in welcoming once again our Accountant General and Permanent Secretary, Dr. Abiodun Muritala, to join the panel of discussants. if you check out the distinguished panelists and the moderator, one thing comes clear, and that is to say that they have been carefully selected, both in terms of core establishment issues and also in public finance management and audit. These are our exchequers, our gatekeepers in terms of financial management and our public service. These are also our core establishment people, who perhaps we cannot discuss core establishment issues without mentioning their names today in the state public service. You have this opportunity, this rare opportunity, to have this meeting with them. Indeed, I was going to say that yes, the Accountant General is our Oga. But I do know that it's not all the time that we have this type of opportunity to be with him and to also share this much of his time with him. So I want to implore the audience that this is a rare opportunity, and please let us leverage on it. On this note, I'd like to quickly hand over to the moderator of the session. My job is completed here. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite our permanent secretary, Mrs. B.A. Dago Thomas. He's the moderator of this session. I need to forward to her. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Sir.
I guess this is working very well. Is it? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, great. Good afternoon once again.
Not working. The mic is not working.
Hello? It's better. Okay, thank you very much for the feedback. Good afternoon once again. I'm sure we are learning and relearning and unlearning from all we have listened to today. As I've said, from the goodwill addresses which became lecture notes for us, and of course from what the Accountant General has shared with us. For us in the Civil Service Commission, we are very excited. And why are we excited? It's also because we believe that every program should be impactful, and of course we are experiencing that feedback as it is from people who are telling us that yes, we should go ahead with the organization of the career week. We are actually, even as we sat down, we started discussing next year's career week. So for us here, the panel discussants are very familiar faces to us in the public Lagos State public service, and we know that they are distinguished in all their professions. And indeed, when we were crafting the top panel discussion, we thought that we should, kind of make it generic, at the same time will also be tailored specifically to F&A and of course audit. So the topic we have before us is establishment issues in finance and accounts. Establishment issues in finance and accounts. As I've said, we have very, very seasoned professionals here who would deal with what we have as issues in the Lagos State public service. I think first we need to define what a public sector establishment is. It is an entity backed by a law. It's an entity backed by law. So we know that all our MDAs are legal entities, and they are responsible for managing one or more public services in order to serve the needs of the populace. So now we have the establishment, and now we have issues. why do we have establishment issues in F&E, in MDAs? Why are there establishment issues? The Accountant General had mentioned a number of issues, but we still would want to see it from the point of view of all the other discussants, all other participants. But I'm going to start first with Commissioner 1, Mr. A.M. Odeyemi, who happens to have been a distinguished guru in establishment. He had served as Director Establishment, he served as Director Training, he served as Permanent Secretary in several MDs, particularly PSU and the Cabinet. And of course, he now, was a Professor Emeritus, because he also served as Permanent Secretary Education. So I guess he's a man of many hats, and he has seen it all come to top of service, even in his position as Commissioner 1 in the Civil Service Commission. So there, Commissioner 1, I want you to enlighten us on what establishment issues really are and why do we have these challenges in MDBs. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Permanent Secretary, Civil Service Commission. I want to stand on the already established protocols. And I want to say that all that has happened here today has been very enlightening. All the welcome addresses of the Chairman of the Civil Service Commission, the Chairman of the Service Commission, and the representative of the Commissioner for Finance, the head of service, and in particular the lecturer of Oluwo himself, the Accountant General Permanent Secretary STU. We are to discuss issues on establishment issues in finance and accounts. I've retired for a while now, and some of the issues I'm asked to discuss are things that I've left behind. So I don't know if I'm very competent to actually
you see them every day. You see them every day.
I will try, and I hope the Civil Garden will just accept me to where I am. The Permanent Secretary has defined what's an establishment. She gave us an explanation, a definition, which of course I agree with. And when an agency has been established, there are bound to be issues. Because if there are no issues, we will not be able to actually be kept on our toes. The system has to be dynamic in the way that things need to keep changing. And the changes must be positive, in the sense that when there are things that you're asked to do, and you find yourself in a situation whereby you think it should be done this way, you will, of course, put pen to paper and say, you feel that this thing should be done this way, for these reasons. And when such memo goes up, of course, your superiors may agree or even make their own further input to say, why don't we add this into it to make it better? And by the time such memo goes up and comes back, it's well enriched. And by the time we now agree to say, okay, this is going to be the system or the people who are asked to serve will be the impact of governance. Basically, the Accountant General in his lecture told us some of the rules, some of the documents that we have that should guide our day-to-day activities. He mentioned the PFM law,
the financial regulation, he mentioned the pension law, he mentioned so many other regulations. And the problem that we have as public servants is that some of us don't follow the rules. From my past activity in service, I've observed that some of our officers are very negligent. Some of us know the rules, but we deliberately bend the rules, and when you bend such rules, there are bound to be consequences. We know we can be flexible in some of these rules, but in trying to be flexible, you ensure that the rule is not broken. For example, if the rule says an officer must go on annual leave, and we also say that leave is not a right but a privilege, and that is to say that if you go on leave, you will be recalled to say there is an urgent assignment done and you must come back. It's not because you say, because I'm a leave, why should I come back? You do that because you get punished for it. Now, once the rule says you should go on leave, it will not be nice for the accounting officer to allow an officer not to go on leave. Probably because the seat that person is sitting on, there is something that person is getting from there, and you feel that by standing up, somebody will have to go and sit there, and before you come back, maybe that person will not be in charge of that thing, and you will not be able to go back to that seat. It will be wrong. From experiences, we find out that our officers do connive. For example, as Director of Finance and Accounts of an NPA, you have the responsibilities. As Director of the HOU audits, internal audits, you also have your own responsibility. As the person in charge of procurement, you also have your own responsibility. Even as the CEO, as the accounting officer of that agency, you also have your responsibility. Now, if there must, of course, we agree that there must be synergy. All the officers that work in an organization must work together to achieve the goal of that agency. But in doing that, you must also keep abreast of your limitations. What are those things you can do that will not get you into trouble based on rules that we have? But we found out, especially in the last 3 years that I've spent in the commission, we find so many naughty cases, embarrassing situations, that if we have taken our time to do the right thing, we will not find ourselves in such a mess. And when you get involved in such thing, there's no hiding place. You cannot tell us you did not know. Because all the rules, all the regulations are in public domain. So it is deliberate on your part to say, I don't want to know. Or that deliberately you want to circumvent these rules for your own selfish gain. So, certain issues will always arise. And that is why, for example, our PMBs, we said, once you want to have PMB, you must ensure that establishment is represented there. Then also, the Civil Service Commission too must also be there. Now, the reason is because the establishment ministry is the ministry that's in charge of the public service rule. It's the custodians of rules and regulations. That's ministry. They also, that ministry also is in charge of teams of service. So when you are in that meeting and when issues arise, they are supposed to advise based on the rules and all whatnot. Similarly to the commission being the employer should also be at such PNB, because there are circulars or there are rules that will bring to bear to such people, so that once they advise, it will be important for people to listen to them. We have found out over the years that most the ministry where such PMPs are held, when the officers give advice, they tell them that's your own thing, they eventually go on and do something else. And eventually when something gets to the commission, then you have the issue of the officer being reprimanded, because by the time you go to some meeting, you don't come back to report of what has transpired there. If you come back to report to say, okay, this actually happened, then of course the permanent secretary of the commission can get across to his contemporary or his contemporary in the other agency to ensure that we do this properly. Because you know, once you have a PNB and you get to the commission and the commission takes a decision on that matter, the officer, for example, if he's dismissed from service, can go to court. And we found out over the years that when we go to court and when officers go to court, at the end of the day, the system gets punished for it, because probably the judge will make a pronouncement to say that officer should be reinstated, simply because we did not follow due process. And if it were to be a private sector, such officers that were responsible for the agency curing such loss will get punished for it. But in this part of in the public service, we don't actually narrow these things down to individuals, people that embarrass government. And I think we need to get to that level, where when issues arise and we found out that some people have been negligent, we need to actually go after them and get them punished. And by the time we start doing that, people will be getting the signal, people will be getting the vibe to say, if you do things this way and this kind of thing happen, then of course you get punished invariably. So we need to be properly guided. Make sure you keep abreast of all the laws. Read them. And like the Academy has advised that to go back to this issue of having an exam for our officers, I'm actually for it. And I think we need to sit down and we'll have other stakeholders meeting to sensitize public servants, because we know that the majority of them are saying they don't want exams, but also the majority are also saying they want it. So we need to have a synergy so that by the time we do it, they will know the benefits, and the systems will get better for something. Because some of our policies, just some of our policies, for example, this issue of lateral conversion that we had, it is good, but having implemented that policy, we found out that there are needs for us to make some reviews. Because when you see people either to or in the sub-header, and there's an officer who's in the officer stader, he was a graduate, and somewhere along the line, he didn't get his professional qualification, and those in the sub-header, without any hindrance, are getting promoted, and they now get to the peak of that sub-header, and they are now getting lateral converted. So, invariably when they get the lateral conversion, they become senior of their leader to seniors, and that is not too good for the system. And that's why the head of service is circular to say the issue of professionalization should now be applicable at the level of the level 14. So we are now going to rise to the level 14, those in the officer cadre and those in the sub cadre. So So it's like level 14 that you can then say, okay, once you don't have your professional qualification, you cannot go to director's grade. I think I will rest my details there for that.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. We hear you and we hear you well. What I hear, a lot of what I hear is on the issue of integrity, of ethics, and of ethical values, and of course respecting the rule of law, all the various rules and laws and provisions and extant circulars. What I hear is that yes, there is a lot of non-compliance, and some people deliberately do not want to comply. Some people are too lazy to comply. We have people who do not read at all. And then of course we also have people who are very ignorant and are not, they are not willing to ensure that they get all the necessary information to do the job that they have been employed to do. I'm going to ask my permanent secretary and finance, Mr. Adogo, behaving with integrity. What is the association? Well, how can you associate behaving with integrity with the ethics of professional bodies? A lot of us, all of us, we are members of one professional body or the other. We are all members of ANAN or ICANN or which other ones are? So, yes, CIPF. Okay, we are all members and we know that our professional bodies, they stand for ethical values, they stand for integrity. But it seems as if when we come into the private sector, we throw away, all we just want is for us to be registered and we keep going back, but we throw away the status, the values of these ethical bodies. And I want to believe it is because we do not report all of these shortcomings to our professional bodies. What is the link between behaving with integrity and our professional bodies?
Well, every professional body have their ethics. And in the course of going through the training, you are expected to have imbibed all the ethics of that professional body. But there is a difference between theoretical presumption and the actual implementation or application of the professional rules. And bearing in mind that we are talking about establishment issues in finance and accounting. Now, and I will try to be as factual as possible so that I won't put myself into wrong trouble. Now, the society we live in now, have no respect for women. The society generally. And we are part of that society. The rules are clear in civil service. Rule number 1 in civil service is you are not expected to have, to use your discretion. Yeah, you should be directed. That's why you say, I am directed. So you are directed by the rules. Financial regulation, the public finance management law, the civil service rule and code. So you must be directed. But in a situation whereby you find yourself where you want to apply the rule, and applying the rule will get you into trouble or hot water. Remember, a lot of our colleagues were sacked unceremoniously, and nothing happened. In fact, a lot of our colleagues are willing to take up their position almost immediately. So, when you find yourself in a society that have no regard for rules, and you want to enforce rules, it's a simple matter. We remove you, and we put somebody there who will do our bidding. So, a lot has to do with the orientation of the society. Well, in the advanced crime or senior crime, for example, an administrative officer of our own here level 8, lowest administrative officer, can refuse the president of the United States of America to carry out his order if it contravenes any of the rules, and nothing will happen. I am very sure. But then wait, try and refuse the order of your director. Let's talk about that. Something will happen. Well, what will happen, I don't know. Let's just imagine it in your mind. And if it happens, like I was talking to the junior staff, he's having some challenges with his superior. He has valid point. He explained to me, and he wants to go and, she wants to go and report. But she corrected herself that from what she have had in service, you don't report your boss and get caught. If you go and report your boss, you will get punished. In such situation, how do you enforce those rules? But that does not mean you shouldn't. Yeah, get punished. Sooner or later, God will vindicate you. So, the challenges we are having here is that the society will find ourselves. Let's look at the society first. And then we can now start talking about compliance or enforcing the extant rules and regulations. The professional bodies have given their ethics. Yes, if you report them to the professional body, just like my other said, the guru of civil service school or public service school, he said there is need to dig deep. And if you remember law, Salmon versus Salmon, unveiling the veil of incorporation. So if the system can unveil and get to the rules, who ordered you or who directed you, and then they can go after, irrespective of whether it's a civil servant or a politician, and then you have a very clean, sane civil service.
You asked us to look at the macro before we look at the micro. I want to believe that the society starts with the family unit, and of course we keep building on each of those units. And I also want to believe that we have laws. Laws are made for man and not man for the law, and it's also because we cannot continue to live in a jungle or in a banana republic. And that's why I always mention to my people that the service is easy, has been made easy by having all those rules and principles and governance and the governance framework and structure. So it is up to an officer to live by them in order to exit with meritoriously or exit with ignominy. So it's up to you on how you want to interpret and implement those laws. So let us move from the issue of governance and ethical values, though it is an issue that we will continue to discuss because we really need it in this sector. Now, whether we like it or not, we know that we have so many risks. And like I said, I'm going to deal with it like a layman. Are there risks attached to the office of a director F&A, the director of finance and accounts? Are there risks? You know, you can hold on to a post, and those posts will have some administrative risks. Are there risks that are attached to the office of a director and account, finance and accounts, or a director audit? Mrs. Taldu, I'd like you to take that. They have one there.
Thank you. There are enormous risks. Great ones attached to the two offices and the two directors. I would like to say that if you may not even be able to count them, and they wear different colors. And the risks you meet in a particular formation may be different from the one you meet in the next formation. But there is one beautiful thing. I was speaking with one of the commissioners in Audit Service Commission, and she made a statement that rules are not laws. There's a difference between a law and a rule. So that means that when you have rules, you are able to use your discretion. As a director of F&A, when you have issues, you know, all of us here we are good officers. You have a domain called your headquarters. If it becomes something that is too hot for you to seek professional assistance. I was having a meeting here some time ago with the auditors, and I told them, be confident. Lay your argument in a very logical and humble manner. Ensure you are not rude to anyone. And that is very, very important. You are not rude to anyone in the discharge of your duties. Explain as much as possible to your superiors that you are working for. But if it becomes something that you cannot chew, you can always go home. That's why ensure you have a good relationship with the home. Whether to the accountant general, to the auditor general, or to the PAMSEC office of principal. Because the risk, as the moderator said, they are enemies and they wear different shapes, sizes, and colors. And they will come. They will come, they are there. So, that they will not come, forget about it. How you deal with them, it goes very challenging. You deal with them, and as you deal with them, you know, in service, today you find yourself in the TDA, next tomorrow you find yourself in the CC. Because of the professional way and the respectful way you deal with this risk, you see your superiors saying, I would still like to work with Mr. So. Because we had a good relationship. Not because you were falsifying anything, but because you were professional and you were respectful. And the discretion you used was a win-win. The laws, the rules were followed. And at the same time, you used your discretion. Thank you.
Rules are not laws. That's what I hear from her. That actually is another topic for another day, because I need to have an understanding of rules and not laws, because we are not as much as allowed, permitted to use or better discretion, so to speak. And before we exercise those discretions, they need to be discussed and they need to have concurrence at some higher levels. So let us also have an understanding of what she has said. We are not to go to town and start exercising discretion. So let's because the only thing that they can hold us against are those rules, regulations, provisions, and laws. So we need to be very careful. The accountant general, so we're coming back to you. Yes, I know that for your sector in F&A, you kind of rely on a lot of reporting. We must report. You sent us a circular. I keep asking my accountant, how far have we gone on what the accountant general has said to us? One should come back on the 16th, before the 16th. One should come January 9. One should come about internal, and all of this speak to internal controls. And of course, like I said, it's about reporting and internal control mechanisms. How do you ensure that this reporting, first and foremost, they must report. First and foremost, all MDAs must report. But how do you ensure that they report correctly and that the reports that they send are up to standard? Because Mrs. Dadu has said we go to different MDAs. Sometimes you see people asking for one accountant or the other. The one I work with here, I like this one. The other one does not know how to use file. One likes to bring out paper and all of this thing. We find that in every MDA. How do you ask them to report and report well? Because I know the permanent secretaries in their various MDAs have those issues of reporting. It takes a very seasoned and grounded permanent secretary to be able to ask of a DFA to do the needful. And because somebody has to follow up, because as it is, if the permanent secretary is not doing what is expected in her role, in her job role as accounting officer, she would or he would be sanctioned. So how? Because I know that you have several meetings all through the year to ensure reporting, but some still have issues with reporting. Is it about knowledge? Is it about lack of capacity? Is it about incompetence? Please, can you open up on that?
Thank you so much. To me, my colleagues, I want to believe, it's not that they don't have the capacity, but I believe some of them are busy. What is hard in the report, we've asked them to prepare. We make sure we have technical meeting, on a quarterly basis, where we share ideas. We also have training that we do regularly, done by Financial Information System Directorate of my office, where we explain things to people. They are templates. It's just that some people are lazy. And you also told me here, gave me permission here, that what we have been doing that has not made them perform is the fact that we don't embrace consequence management system. Don't do it shows that there should be some sanctions that come along with not doing it. It's not that they don't know it. I know all of them. We've worked together. They are all my colleagues. I'm just fortunate with them. So I don't see that it's not the capacity that is the problem.
It's just that they are lazy. And again, is what I'm not interested in doing. But I can assure you that in the coming years, we're going to see a lot of difference. They've assured me we are not going to use that consequence management because they promised me at the last technical meeting that they are going to do it well for me and they will be a good ambassador of the state treasury.
Very encouraging. Also saying that what we are doing here is going to bring about a positive turnaround in the state's public service. Acting Auditor General, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I have had in the course of my career to work with some of the best in the Auditor General's office. Let me mention Mrs. Akiwole. She is a very sound guru of audit controls and considerations. Yes, you are on this seat today. What are you bringing to the table to help in audit and to help deliver effective accountability? I know you report to the House of Assembly. You don't report to the executive, so to speak. So you come after all the trouble had been done. After all the trouble, I'm going to talk about before the trouble. I mean, before you come, there is the internal audit office that looks into our books within the resident internal audit, and of course you come at the end of the year. Number one, why is it only at the end of the year that you come? And then two, what would you have? What plans do you have? What are your programs for effective accountability as the State Auditor General's office? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Service Commission. That's a million question. Well, let me address it this way. Number one, we talk of critical success factor in audit. And for us to have critical success factor, the individual that is going to operate the audit assignment must be technically capable. That's number one. And we have started that, looking at the issues that have been arising within finance and account. We look at it, how best can we approach this issue? So, we have started that way by ensuring that our staff will not be looking at the vouchers alone, because I know that has been the system. They will come to say, give us your voucher, and they start taking it. And at the end of the day, they will say, unprotected payment voucher, or retired payment voucher. We are not looking at it right away from that. We are not going to look at it from, well, not only from that angle. I don't want to say that we are not going to look at that. We are going to look at it. But at the same time, we will ensure that we do some other things. Like they used to say, money, I won't work. The way I'm carrying my weight. It's not that it's not of me carrying it, but because of my legs. So we may not look at it right away from completed work that you have done. And we have started the capacity building for our staff. For a staff to be able to carry out his job very well, you must give that person standard. And at the end of the day, measure, he will use that standard to do the work. And then at the end of the day, he also measure whether he has completed the work. That is what we are doing under when we talk of quality control. So we started that by ensuring that our staff are technically capable. That is one. we will not only look at, like I said, we have also established a directorate, which we call performance audit. If you look at the audit law or the PFM law, talk about for the functions of the Auditor General, he must ensure that money are judicially spent, that is effectively, economically, and what have you, efficiently. I mean, so those three E's, they are the things that we are going to look at during the audit. So we said we have established a directorate, which is called performance audit, and the performance audit will be looking solely on some things. We have looked at the budget. We realized that the budget, the capital expenditure takes 70% of the budget, and our budget is around 2 trillion. So 70% of 2 trillion is 1.4 trillion. But we always engage ourselves in 30%, which is the overhead, majority of the time. So the 70% will be the area that will be more, that will be concentrated more than before, because we realize that that is the bulk of the issue. When MDAs are given approval to go and purchase things, we realize that at the end of the day, that may not be the thing they will purchase. And if they are going to purchase it, it might not be up to the level they mentioned in their BOQ. So to that extent, I said, let us concentrate on performance audit. That is, looking at projects, programs, and some other things which constitute 70% of the budget. So that's another way which we are going to bring new way into it. That's one. Then three, we have also looked at it that, okay, majority of our officers, when they want to, they always use, that is when we say officers, I mean the accountant. They always make use of manual cash book. The manual cash book to do their operation. They will, because they will like this time. But when we are doing financial statement audit, as if whenever we go to do the financial statement audit, we realize that at the end of the day end, that is when people will be rushing to post. Will be rushing to post, and that is not good. No, that's an area of business, which we said, okay, we start down with the general office sometimes early this year to say that, okay, we will not be looking at the manual calculator. Even if you are going to look at the manual calculator, we must concentrate mostly on the audit calculator. You understand? So the effect of the two will give us the completeness that we are seeking for. These are these financial. For us to have effective audit, it is not only from the Auditor General's office alone, but these are this collective responsibility. That is the State Audit Office and the internal audit. In fact, the internal audit carry most of the work. So we have looked at it that we will definitely collaborate with the internal audit, so that the real report which they normally give will be the one that we look at, and not what we normally say to our office. Sorry, yes, that's what we're going to be doing. So instead of looking at the one given to us at the office, we definitely the report submitted to the office of internal audit. Then aside from that one, then look at the file of the internal auditor in respect of each of the ministry, so that you'll be able to collaborate together. Because if you don't collaborate very well in the internal audit, you may not be able to achieve effective audit. So that's number 3. Then to answer your second question, that why do we audit at the end of, after the end of the year? Yes, audit will be done in different ways. We can do continuous audit, but the problem is we have the power. That's number 1. Continuous audit in the sense that it might be probably quarterly. It might be quarterly, it might be by monthly, as is every 2 months, or some. You understand? Though we know that internal auditors are resident within the MTA, but then If we want to do the continuous audit, we will definitely do it probably quarterly or maybe by monthly. But then we may not have enough staff to go through that job, looking at the number of MDAs. That is why we normally do that. That's why I said it is better for us to collaborate with the internal audit, because they are the ones who do day-to-day audit within the MDA. So when we collaborate with them, then the work will be done. But normally, we may not be able to do quarterly or half-yearly audit because of the staff strength. It is part of the way that we can audit. Then we just feel that, okay, at the end of the day, when we collaborate with the internal audit, then we can do the year-end audit. So those are the things that we are trying to go through to ensure that we have effective audit and change the system. As we normally say to our auditors, that we are your strategic partners. Don't look at us as if police have come, DFCC have come. No, but we are part and parcel to ensure that your system works. Thank you so much.
I can hear some expo from what the State Auditor General has told us, DF and A's, as to what next, what they will be looking at, and all of that. So please let us listen and listen attentively so that we will not have those issues at the end of the year. I always think that, and I'll also ask, is there a forum that the Office of the State Auditor General, the Office of the Accountant General STU, and OIA, do you have a fora? Do you have fora where you meet? Because sometimes I always think that one seems to be witch hunting one, or one seems to be, I mean, every time I think they're just coming to witch hunt us. And I think what we have, well, what we should be thinking of is working towards the common goal of presenting our Lagos State branch to the world as an agency or as an establishment that is fraud-proof or something like that. But at the end of the year, you see the Office of the State Auditor General coming to, and they are not bringing to bear what we should be looking at, what we want MDAs to be looking at the beginning of the year. That, oh, okay, oh, I am State Auditor General, so that you do not have issues at the end of the year. Please, these are things that they should be looking at. But you will see State Auditor General coming in to kind of lord it over resident internal auditor. And they seem, and I keep asking, the two of you are auditors. Number one, the resident internal auditor should know what the Office of the State Auditor General is coming to look at. They are both auditors. And then too, I always say at the back of my mind, oh, they don't want their center to be a So, you should know what they are coming. But at the end of the day, you will still see that big report, an audit query, and all of that. And of course, all of you have icons and ANANs and all of that. How did we go wrong? Where does the MDA go wrong with having all the three of you? You went to the same school. Where does the MDA go wrong?
Thank you so much. It was a beautiful that we both are on common ground to meet. It's not correct. We meet when we be at that top level, at the strategic level. We meet at that level. We share ideas, we share our own view. That there are some observations that have passed to him that, to give a typical example, he mentioned it, the use of Oracle cash flow and the manual that
we take one thing they should rely on when they are coming for audit. First, obtain the internal auditor's report. That should be their own first thing. That report is what will guide them as to what are those deficiencies in the internal control. There are deficiencies observed by the internal auditor. Those are the things that will give them more, I mean, it gives them some sense of direction. I don't know if you want to add.
Thank you very much. Now, I really love that the question posed by the PS Civil Service Commission. Thank you very much. In fact, she had already raised it with the PS inquiry, and it's what are the risks. That's part of the risk. Some internal auditors, they are always afraid to do one thing or the other, to write a report about their ministry. That's why I do what kind of. Now, afraid in the sense that, you know, when they audit, no accounting officer, majority of the time, want negative report. I'm being honest. Honestly, not that I'm trying to look at the issue in a way that it's not palatable. I want to be factual. No accounting officer to want negative report to come out of office. So to that extent, the internal auditors, that is the part of the risk phase. I'm trying to answer what that at the end of the day we now have that the state auditor general always have big report, audit query. But because when the internal auditor approach that issue, probably looking at the chief executive, the PS, and that will not like this. Don't let me put this one. But at the end of the day, that thing is not addressed in the voucher. You understand that? So, like I've said, that you should definitely collaborate with the internal auditor. They work together to make sure that things are like approved. But that is part of the reason why we normally buy our own report to some extent always differ from the internal auditor. Not that we are looking at it, we are trying to run down the internal auditor, but because of those little issues, that is why on some occasion our report on the differ.
Thank you very much. Can I, the PAM secretary, okay. In your presentation, you told us that in the new year, depending on the internal audit reports. They can't hear. Depending on the internal audit reports to ensure that you do due diligence. Now, the same internal audit reports that you want to rely on are being prepared and fair. So I don't understand.
So we'll do more collaboration.
We need, what I'm telling you, the thing is, when the confidence of the auditor is restored, which is what happened with Nigeria, they will write what is germane, what is the correct thing to write. And then you are now able to depend on that. So there is supposed to be a checking. Okay. Not that you have come to an NDA with a preconceived position in the world. Let us leave that kind of thing and just come with a clean mind, an objective mind. So when you come with an objective mind, you get the report, you look at the report, you sit with your colleague who is the internal auditor, and you discuss. Just like Mrs. Nakotoma says, they are the only one that can tell you where to get whatever you want. So your reliance on them should 100%. Thank you.
Can we have one house, please? Can we have one house? It's getting very interesting.
What external auditors relies on when they come to audit is the competence of the internal auditor. Now, if the internal auditor applies due diligence in the course of the year, there is nothing to be afraid of. The rules are there, and the internal auditor ensure. Remember, internal audit is to ensure compliance with the rules and regulations set by management. That's their rule, and that's why they report directly to the accounting officer. So if they have applied it and he has ensured due compliance, when the external auditor comes, then there is nothing to fear, because they are coming to attest that the account show a true and fair view of the financial position and asset of the organization. So nothing to fear about. But then they will first of all test the competence of the internal auditor. Thank you.
What I'm getting from all of this is the confidence of the internal auditor. The internal auditor must be a very confident and knowledgeable person to be able to stand up to the director F&A if he is not complying, to be able to speak to the accounting officer if there is non-compliance. I ensure that I get the report. You must write your reports, because some of us don't even want to write those reports that you are expected to send to OIA. Once you do your monthly pay at site, your report must be submitted. So if we are not complying, it will be very, very difficult for us to hold others to compliance. We are doing very well for time, and I want to believe that there are questions. There are questions from the audience. Okay, contributions. Okay, contributions, questions, and the chairman, Audit Service Commission first. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is good that all the comments and discussions we have had so far have come from accounting officers. But I want to ask the accounting officers, do they allow their internal auditors grant them access to books and records as and when necessary. The directors of finance and accounts, they are always at loggerheads with the internal agencies. About all these things, we are addressing these things and do the thing as time goes on. And another thing I want to talk about is that audit is audit. The internal auditors and the external auditors, as they call themselves, went to the same universities, they have the same degrees, professional or academic. So audit is audit. The external auditors should learn to depend on the reports of the internal auditors. We have even had that at the last exit meeting, the audit office, USAC, did not allow internal auditors to come in and sit at the exit meetings. They said we should sit outside. Yes. The Auditor General is there. The acting Auditor General is there. So I'm saying so that they hear all these things. They are one of the same body. And the commission is not taking all of those things like they have to work hand in hand. They shouldn't malign the internal auditors because they work first and they work 24/7. Let me put it 24/7 because if they even want to come to the office at night, they can come. and do whatever works they have to do. But they come occasionally, so they should rely on the works of the people that work all the time. The PSOIA, I know you write reports monthly, maybe the exception reports to Accountant General, State Auditor General, and Head of Service. So I am not sure if they still react the way they need to react, because they are supposed to give you feedback on your exception reports that you make. Like in the past, HOS even used to issue queries to agencies that are not complying with rules and regulations. If that is still in existence, please use that power to work efficiently as to help the auditors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that contribution, ma'am. I would say if you know how to use a very good internal auditor, there is no need for that internal auditor to be intimidated. The internal auditor in the Civil Service Commission, even before he knows, I call. The internal auditor is also given additional work to help even audit things that ordinarily he works in our recruitment department. He helped us look at how many people are being recruited and if the names, he follows the template. So he is in our business. The internal auditor in the commission is in our business, and that's why I keep wanting to see my reports. And if there are issues between the internal auditor and the DFA, you're looking at me. Because yes, they rub each other sometimes. And I ask questions, common sense questions. Maybe I'm not Ananon, I can't questions. But I would ask those questions. There was one last week that came up. We are supposed to write the check in one name, or we are supposed to write it in another name. And it came up, and I said, what did the auditor say? He said this, then do it the way the auditor has said. Because if we have issues, it will end up, of course, in our books. And he said, okay, he agreed. And of course, it was also corroborated in OIA. So, I mean, if you do not have anything to hide, if you are transparent, if you are open about finances, it is where there are the underground issues and all of that. Let me just say, sometimes it happens that, yes, when you're using discretion or because you want to quickly do certain things, you may not do it timely. But we have that, we always have that discretion, discussion with the auditor, with the internal auditor. He comes to us and says, they didn't say, you know something, council is going to happen, we have to quickly do this thing. With the MTB, yes, we will sit and have the MTB, but quickly, we are just, you must have that discussion as accounting officers with your internal auditor. So it isn't a matter of, harassing them or intimidating them or coercing them. One thing I would always reiterate is the confidence and knowledge. If you are a professional that has confidence and knowledge and you know what you are doing and you are able to advise, why would I run away from good advice in the first place? But if you are not giving me good advice, and I'm asking you are asking me for further directives, you are the professional, you are the ambassador of each of your offices in my agency. So I expect you to do your job and advise me. Where we are not clear, yes, we can seek further clarification from your pool office. And Accountant General, this has happened. PSOIA, this has happened. Kindly guide. So I do not see where an accounting officer would be intimidating. The accounting officer that is intimidating, you have the strength of the green pen or the red pen, I don't know what pen you use, to be able to stop whatever it is that they want to do. It is also because you do not want to do your job. If it is not right, no amount of intimidation will make it right. Can we have one now? If it is not right, no amount of intimidation can make it right. And at the end of the day, if there is going to be an inquest or a panel of inquiry, you will talk and they will ask you, why did you not do what you expected to do? So let us build confidence to be able to do and say the right thing and the right thing. The right thing can only be the right thing at any point in time. So do we have any other questions, inquiries? Mrs. Awal, yes. How many other people so that we know? Okay, madam.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so she's taking the story of them.
My opinion is what I don't know whether this taken from action will be taken to other cases that when you are organizing similar programs. We need you to help us tell, especially schedule officers, on the use of documentation, because there is little that we accountants can do if we don't have the required documentations. Sometimes when we need to retire payment or money advance for programs, it is not the job of the accountant to be running after retirement or be looking for retirement after the money is used. So we need to help us let other payers know that to help the work of an accountant, we need to do a lot when it comes to the issue of documentation. Another thing is orientation of our political leaders to help us so that we can control the
orientation
of our political leaders to help us.
Good afternoon, everyone. This session is extremely important and highly appreciated. My stake is this: if every one of us in this room can agree that the rules and regulations and laws will work, Lagos State will be better for it. Yes. We are all accountants before some of us are internal auditors or external auditors. Even between the Director of Finance and Accounts and internal auditor across entities, what is our relationship? We work as rivals. Sincerely, we need to find a lasting solution to it. We understand the rules, we understand the regulations. We are the same professionals, either ICANN or ANAN. And yet, when we get to NDAs, it's cat and dog. We need to come together. If accountants and auditors can unite, the world will be better. With our accounting officers. Hello. It's a point of view. It's either we are here and take something important out of this session and move Lagos State forward, or we are just here as the usual theoretical talking and nothing comes out of it. The option is for us. So sincerely, we have theories. Everything we've had today, there is no new thing now. Is anything new? No. We have the rules, we have the laws, we have the regulations. Deliberately, we sidetrack them and refuse to follow them. Then it is important to accept that none of these rules were written by any internal auditor. They are provided. An internal auditor have the KPI that you must ensure compliance. And by the time they are working to ensure compliance, they are the greatest enemy of everybody. Even the accountant that understands the rules and regulations sees the internal auditor as enemy. We need to go to the drawing board. Wait, my sister. If accountant and auditor are on the same page, we will both address the accounting officer and force the system to do the right thing. So we have issues with our accounting officer, with the political officers. People will say internal auditors are not working. The Audit Service Commission chairman just mentioned something now. If we are not careful, the trend we will have in the very near future will not be very good for Lagos State. Because when internal auditors cannot report the way the situation is, because of intimidation, because of fear, because if they say do this, even the accounting officer will deal with them. Somebody was telling me, Timba Shekini for the family running cost. I said, if it has got to that stage, please, internal auditors need to rise up to the challenge. It's not you are an auditor or you are not an auditor. If you want to be an audit case, do it right. But let's collaborate and cooperate.
My input is more like seeking clarification. Like a month or so ago, we appeared in front of the sub-house committee in the House of Assembly for tertiary institution. The chairman of that committee was impressing it on us that by 31st of December, whatever we have left in our account must be returned back to Treasury and rates. And I posed the question to him that in accounting we have things like posted checks that is still going through clearing, or the beneficiary has not presented it and stuff like that, or presented checks. He said that he doesn't want to know. That even the age knows that the balance outstanding as at 31st December must be returned. So I need clarification on that. My age is sir.
Okay, the last
I want to say that I appreciate the fact that this forum has quite succinctly addressed the dichotomy between the accountants and the auditors, and to a lesser extent between the auditors and the accounting officers. But I'm someone who believes in looking at things holistically, and there is more than this, more than the accounting officer or the accountant that the auditor has as adversary in any MDE. There are people of the other cadres who sometimes are the ones that influence the accounting officer adversely. I'm not even the accountant. I'm an auditor, but I know that sometimes the crux of the animosity or acrimony that the auditor gets from the accountant is from either one or a conglomeration of other officers. So this extension needs to go beyond the accountants, find in the family house where we can talk and address it. But some of these other persons who grossly misunderstand the role of the internal auditor are not being reached. And some of them, in every family, we have some level of criticism. Sometimes some people have certain rapport with the accounting officer, and ultimately, and that's where I'm actually going is, earlier my accountant general spoke about cash planning. If we are going to talk about planning our cash flow, we should also talk about planning our activities. There are many things that the procurement officer or the internal auditor, even the accountant, is constrained to do, bending the rules because they did not start the planning on time. The process did not go through the right, without prejudice to the efficacy, administrative efficacy of having centralized approvals from the state. But by the time some of these things go for, these submissions go for approval, already all the timeline meet up with the procurement guidelines. So I'm just suggesting that in every NDA, let there be a handshake across the table. Let everybody, because unfortunately, auditors are the ones that get experienced the most. Accountants sometimes are involved because you're going to disburse funds, therefore, this is what we want to do. But if everybody is carried along, as noted from the onset, the audit
auditor who gets the final stick because he is the one who can use his pen to say, no, this was not true. Maybe the procurement officer pushes it to him and says, the accountant says, I will pay once the auditor and I stamp the voucher. So I'm just advising that we have this harmony across board. It's not just the accountants and auditors that have problems. Others have problems, but they push this thing to the auditor.
Thank you so much for your observation. I'll take the last question, and this is why. They are very similar. More work rests on the hours of the accounting officers for us to make sure that we bring our officers together, they work in harmony. There is no way everything, if auditor says he's not having more confidence or doesn't have confidence to say something, just because somebody is coming to tell you something like that, it's not too good for an accounting officer. You are opening your back, and that is the truth. And that's what I believe in. She's the one who can tell me the truth. Every other person will tell me that. So let her come and tell me the truth. So our colleagues that are Pam said here, listen to that. Listen to the auditor. Hear what they will say. Don't listen to any other thing. Then ask yourself the objective about it, and you realize that at the end of the day, it's good for you. There's somebody who asked a question about I issued a circular, and I want to believe that you've read that circular. Please go and read it. If any money you have in your kit, if it is in respect of overhead, it must be returned back to chest. If it is in respect of capital, you are expected to write the accountant general, notify, and the auditor general to notify us that you have this money with you. It is in respect of capital. That is the provision of financial regulation. It's not the creation of accountant general. Please, let's note that. I think I have addressed almost everything. Thank you so much.
The first one is an advice. The first one is an advice. I will advise the commission. Civil Service Commission. Civil Service Commission. The Mother Commission. Gather all the accounting officers together and have a panel with them, educating them or enlightening them on the duties of the internal bureau, and they are to help them. You need to assure them that they are there and for you internal bureaus, I will advise, know your limits. Please realize your limits. If you write anything about your accounting officer to the GO, the state have adopted accurate basis of accounting, and in accurate basis of accounting, there is provision for balance going forward. Why have we not help us in that area? That yes, the prior to adoption of accurate, We will return back because we are using cash basis. Now that there is a plural basis, the private sector, I think every balance will be able to carry it forward.
Now, the principle behind it is that.
Please, can we listen?
The principle behind it can be likened to the vouchers you have in the state treasury office that I return back to you at the end of the year. You see, all vouchers belongs to the government. So it's now to say, you are now saying that can you owe yourself? You are saying governor is owing himself by me recognizing it as receivables or payables. Can you owe yourself? If you're asking who are your debtors, you can't say you are your own debtor. You can only owe other people. So governor cannot owe himself. Or a pansec is doing it on behalf of governor. Because governor is the only person they entrusted the money to. It's not entrusted to us. So you are acting on his behalf. You cannot not say that governor is owing himself and say all the pansecs are payables. No. And that is the same rules that go for that. We can't recognize them, we can't treat them in form of that way. Thank you so much. Yes, our budgeting system
so you can have all balance.
Thank you very, very, very much. Panel discussants, Commissioner 1, Tax Secretary, Mr. Udogon, and Tax Secretary, Mrs. Ikelomo, Daudi, the Accountant General, Permanent Secretary, State Treasury Office, and the Acting Auditor General, Permanent Secretary, State Auditor General's Office. Yes, we hear you, Mrs. Dawa. I'm sure you heard when the chairman mentioned in her address that we are going to other cadres. It doesn't stop. Last year we had directors here at HR. Next year we are thinking of going to the built environment. This is where we talk to all the other scheduled officers and all other cadres. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have done very well for time. We said we will be ending at 3, and I'm sure we are doing less than 3 o'clock. So remember, tomorrow, we still have tomorrow, which will be virtual. We will send the link to the relevant platforms. Please, yes, it shall be monitored. And please, you can bring all your scheduled officers to come on board to listen to this very important. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Those on air. Sorry, those on air, those who have joined us, those who have linked up on the YouTube channel, thank you very, very much. We appreciate your attendance virtually. We have not left you. Okay, it is not because we count. We are not counting you worthy, but we recognize the importance of your joining us. The Accountant General has also said he will send us the slides to also share on relevant platforms. But I think going back home, from what we have learned here, we are going back home better professionals in finance and accounts and audit matters. Have we done well? Yes. Tomorrow join us us on the link on the Zoom link that will be sent. Join us timely. We shall be monitoring. We know that we have all the powers to do the monitoring. We know how we do RSTP. We monitor from behind. We want to know who and who has joined up. Please, you can even ask your scheduled officers to join up. I think we have a capacity of 1,000, so we can manage other people. On Friday, we would also be having the clinic sessions. What is this about? For some of us or some of our officers who have issues in the commission, you would find the Director Career Management to talk to, the Director Discipline and Exit would also be there. And we also have our Director Treasury Operations. That woman will have a lot of people wanting to talk to her at this point in time of the year. But she would also be there to deal with financial, public finance management issues. Please do not bug her with issues of payment vouchers. So, ladies and gentlemen, we see you tomorrow. It's not the end. Auditor, it's not the end. Note, it's not the end. It's not the end. We'll see you. We'll find you online tomorrow, TV. So, thank you very much for listening to all of us. Thank you. Okay, the Chairman Civil Service Commission has said to tell you that we'll take pictures with the ladies first, and then we'll take pictures with the gentlemen. Okay, the panel is and then we'll go to the permanent Thank you. So please don't go take picture now.
How you doing? How is everything? So you are now set to. Yes. That's good.